Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're back with my September wrap up. How has September gone already? I feel like it was just yesterday I started my rewatch of Gilmore Girls. Anyway, so I read 10 books this month, all paperbacks. I probably could have read like another one or two if I forced it, but to be honest, I have so much YouTube to catch up on that I'm like, you know what, I'm taking a few days just to not read, which I'm dying to read. Every time I tell myself, all right, I'm not going to read, I end up like desperate to read. But I have so much to watch, so much to sort out. So I'm giving myself a few days break. And yeah, anyway, let's just get into what I read in September. Starting off, I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This one I rated a 4.5 stars. This made me break my heart crying for like 30 whole pages, just sobbing on and off. If I wasn't crying on one page, I was crying on the next. I did not expect to have that reaction because at first I didn't think I had much of a connection with either of the characters. I think I felt for Patroclus more, and I felt like Achilles was quite entitled and a little bit of a selfish brat, just a little bit. I say I can't believe September's over. I can't believe I read this month because I can't. It feels like ages ago that I read this. I don't know. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It got me really excited to read more retellings. I have Stormblind, Ariadne, and Electra on my bookcase, so I think I'm gonna probably pick those up even quicker now. I say even quicker. I've had them for like a year. Now that I've read this, I'm probably gonna pick them up sooner than I would have. And I also think I want to try Circe by Madeline Miller, which is her more recent book. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, and that's all I have to say because I can't remember. It was the beginning of the month. I have a terrible memory. Okay. Okay, next I read Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This one I also rated a 4.5 stars. I loved this book. I would have went straight on to Apprentice to the Villain if I didn't have two reading vlogs I needed to do this month or wanted to do this month. And if I wasn't giving myself a few days off of reading, it would have been the next book I read. This book was so fun. It had me from the beginning. Like, it goes straight into the story. The writing's really easy. It's actually quite small font, but I felt like I flew through this book. You get straight into the story. At the first like page, you think, oh, maybe I'm not going to be getting straight into the story. You literally jump into the story. I now have terrible lines of light. Okay, I can't get rid of these bits of light because they come through the gaps in the blinds, but at least it's not as stripy as, oh, that's awful. I have to just kind of be on an angle like this. At least it's not like as stripy as it was. Anyway, yeah, I found the FMC really funny. Her in a monologue, she was just so relatable and so funny. I was laughing out loud multiple times when reading this or just like giggling. So this book is a debut novel, and this person essentially wrote it on TikTok. She was giving us little snippets of scenes. So she really, honestly, it was a great idea. I don't think she deliberately did it to build hype for the book necessarily. I think she was just so excited and wanted to share it with us. And everyone on TikTok was so excited about this book. But it worked really well because loads of people wanted this book straight away. You know, like it probably sold quite well because of the publicity behind it, just from her giving us little snippets of things. So we're following Evie, who is looking for a job. She's desperate for a job, and she happens to run into the villain, and she just sort of offhandedly says, "I need a job." Not asking for him for one, not like just she just sort of says it in passing. And he's quite intrigued by her, and I think he just offers her a job. So she becomes the villain's assistant, hence why assistant to the villain. And there's a sort of mystery going on where they're trying to figure out who the traitor is, and that was so fun. And there are so many little plot things that happen in here that were just so like wild and fun and entertaining. So I was constantly smiling and having fun reading this book. And also the MMC, especially when you're in his pub. Like, I love him. He's like the meant to be scary, like brooding, so serious. Like, but when you're in his pub, he has a secret softie. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. He's just so cute. Also, there's no spice in that book. I'm fairly sure it's a YA. I don't know if there's going to be spice in book 2 or 3. Like I said, I haven't read book 2 yet. And book 3, we don't even have the name of. We don't have the date yet for when book 3 comes out. But I think it's a YA. Okay, next I read Daydream by Hannah Grace. This was one of my most anticipated reads of the year. I have been waiting for Henry's story since Icebreaker, and it did not disappoint. I rated this 5 stars. I gave it a 2 chili peppers. It's nowhere near as spicy as Icebreaker or as Wildfire. Icebreaker is definitely the spiciest by far. This only, I think it had 3 smut scenes. Yeah, I have 3 bright pink, which is for it's getting spicy. So yeah, only 3 spicier scenes. The first time they have sex scene is one of my favorite scenes ever for being like so sweet and wholesome, even though it's a sex scene. It's everything. I am so jealous. I wish I was Hallie and that was my first time. Like, oh, I just think this was perfect. I've seen people, I did a reading vlog, so if you want to see like really in-depth thoughts and things, go watch that. It's in my reading anticipated new releases video. You can see the book in the thumbnail. But I've seen people say that they didn't really believe in the love story between Henry and Hallie, but I don't understand it because they had so much chemistry on a low-key scale. It wasn't like burning up, fiery passion, this massive want that just like is an explosive tension and chemistry. That's not what their love is like. Their love is the small things, the little everyday things that matter and show care. It's a deep understanding of each other and patience for each other. It is loyalty, it is friendship, it is just so wholesome and perfect and adorable, and they just really seem like the kind of people that they just match. And not everyone has big explosive loves, and not everyone, like, it depends on your personality. You know, we have Henry, who is undiagnosed, some type of neurodivergent. Hallie has just left a relationship that made her feel quite belittled and not knowing where she is in the world and if she has any friends, and feeling quite lonely and isolated and shy. And I just think they are perfect for each other, and their love is a perfect representation of them. And also, I think Hallie was the sweetest FMC I have ever written. She went above and beyond for the people she cared about. Even if she like barely knew anyone, she is just so lovely. Just so lovely. I loved Hallie. And Henry is just adorable. And his inner struggles, oh, they broke my heart. He is just, yeah, I was not disappointed by this book at all. Like I say, 5 stars. Could not recommend this enough. I've tabbed it, which says everything. Next, I read Love Unwritten by Laura Nasher. This one I rated a 4.75, sorry, and a 2.5 in the spice rating. Again, not as spicy as Love Redesigned. That's choking me a bit. This might now be quieter because I've moved that. I have not gotten used to this microphone yet. I don't know what the volume is going to be like for any of this, so I'm very sorry. Anyway, yeah, this one I also tabbed. I tabbed this one more, probably partly because it's a longer book, but I, from the beginning, loved this. There was such good banter. There were so many memorable moments, so many cute moments. Like, Nico, for being a kid in the book, like, not many people enjoy it. He was really well written because he's a little bit older. He's like, what, 10? Or is he 8? He's 8 or he's 10. I can't remember because I have terrible memory. He is so sweet. Just so sweet. He just does not want his dad to be upset on his behalf. He doesn't want his dad to be sad. He just wants his dad to be happy and thriving. And it's so cute. And yeah, this one is single dad and nanny. She's the kid's nanny. And part of this is forced proximity because they go on a holiday to Hawaii for part of this. Yeah, there was so many moments in this where I was like, I want to be able to flick back to this specific scene, or like the banter was really good. I think I preferred Love Redesigned ever so slightly, But this was just so good. I flew through this book. I read it so quickly. I mean, the writing is quite big, like the font size is quite, like, decently big, but it was just, the writing was so quick, the pace was really good, so I just flew through this book. I love in this how before Ellie and Raphael have any sort of romantic relationship, she has, obviously because she's his nanny, a really good relationship with Nico. They're both close. You can tell she absolutely adores Nico. And I just think it makes the perfect, like, realistically, if you're going into a relationship with a person who is a parent, realistically, there's a good chance, if things work out well, that you're going to become a step parent. So you need to have a good bond with the kids. I just think that it's not going to work. It's not a family. And this, she just had such a good bond with Nico that even like Raphael was a bit jealous at points because of how close and pure their bond was. So I loved seeing that. And also seeing Raph's character development from being so gruff and grumpy to realizing he has things to work on for himself and that he has to be happy so he can be the best parent he can be to Nico. That was really nice seeing that. So there's a lot of like mental health rep in this book. There's quite a few dark themes. Again, I've spoken about this in the reading blog because this is in it as well. There's dark themes, but they're spoken of in quite a hopeful way, and it's in more of a recovery standpoint rather than being like, I've been through this awful thing and my mental health's terrible and nothing's getting better and everything's awful. It's not like that at all. So it doesn't drag the book down. It just gives the characters a bit of like depth. Really recommend this book. Absolutely loved it. 4.75 stars. Oh yeah, and I think I did say the spice was, I put 2.5 because they weren't like super in-depth scenes. And I think for a book this thick, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smutty scenes. Only 4 of which are the 2 of them. Anyway, next in the same vlog, I read Fall With Me by Becca Mack. This is going to really annoy me. Fall With Me by Becca Mack. This one I rated 5 stars. It has a 4 chili pepper rating. This book is spicy. I would say this isn't even like spice. It's a smutty book. Okay, like it is a romance book. There's a lot of things going on. There's a good amount of plot. There's like background things. It's just, this man is dirty and very horny. This is book 4 in the Playing for Keeps series by Becca Mack. And yeah, it was a 5 stars. I loved this book. The character development that Jackson has in this book and his realization and coming to terms with certain things and these issues that he deals with personally. Oh, it was just so good. I cried at this book. I laughed at this book. The found family in this series is just great. So this book follows Jackson, who is a member of the hockey team, somewhere in Vancouver. Vancouver Vipers, that's what they're called. He was he didn't start. When did he come into the series? I think he came in book 2. I could be wrong. But he is like the newest member of the team, and he has built quite a bond with the team, and they have an amazing found family. I don't want to say much because obviously I don't want to spoil things about other books, but yeah, it's a hockey romance. He is a defenseman, I want to say. So he's getting into lots of fights on the ice. That's all I know. I don't really know anything about hockey, even though it's my favorite type of sports romance. Yes, and then we have Lennon, who was meant to be getting married, and her fiance was found to be cheating on her with a waitress the day before they were meant to get married. I think it was like their rehearsal dinner or something. So they meet because she goes on her honeymoon alone. Yes, and then things go from there. So yeah, it's very spicy. If you like a spicy romance, this is a series to go for. All of the books are pretty spicy, to be honest with you. I think this was the spiciest though. And if you love found family, this is such a good series to read. Okay, the last book I read in my anticipated reads vlog was Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This one I rated a 4 stars and I gave it a 2.5 to a 3 chili pepper rating. I couldn't quite decide because I listened to something. I listened to part of it on audiobook, like literally only a couple chapters, and there was spicy chapters, but it was it's not duet style audiobook, so it was just a man putting on a female voice, and it was really awkward. So I was walking on my walking pad listening to this and giggling because it sounded ridiculous. So I cannot make it a like I can't decide on the spice reading, because it just so happened to be once this book had any spice was when I actually happened to be listening to it on audiobook. So I couldn't decide. But yeah, I rated it 4 stars. If I'm comparing, if I hadn't read Love and Written just before this, it maybe would have been written higher. But I just think in terms of single dad romances, Love and Written did it so much better, with the kid being more involved and there being more like family time shown, and it felt believable that Ellie, Nico, and Raf could be like a family. They've already felt like one. Whereas I feel like you barely really saw the kids. There wasn't a whole lot of family time shown, and I just think it was really rushed. I just feel like everything in this happened very fast. It was all very surface level, and I think the family aspect and the music aspect could have been developed more, and sort of, I don't know. I just think that we could have done with a few scenes more, seeing her working with Ford, and we could have done with a few more scenes of her and the family as a whole bonding and just seeing her really fit in. And I think I would have felt more for this book. But it was really fun. I mean, it's Elsie Silver. I, of course, enjoyed reading it. Writing wise, it's so easy to binge these books. I read it in 2 days. I probably could have read it in one if I had. I think I started it very late one night. If I'd just waited for the next day, I just could have read it all in one day. Her books are very binge worthy, and I will read anything that Elsie Silver writes. Okay, then I did a reading vlog about books about bookshops, which is my last video up on my channel. I started off with reading More Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. I read the first book called Days at the Murasaki Bookshop a few months ago, I think it was. This one just follows on from Takako once she's moved on from the bookshop her uncle owns, and she's got her own place and her own job. And it's following a storyline that we had towards the end of Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. So I will leave it as that, because I don't want to like go into it, because I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't read the first one. This is just a perfect cozy read, and it's just about people who love books. And it's nice and short. It's only 163 pages. I read it in a day, and it's just, if you just want to curl up and read something that's just quite mindless, feels really cozy, and has like funny characters, like lovable characters, I recommend these 2 books. I forgot to say, I rated More Days at the Murasaki Bookshop with 4 stars. I preferred the first one, which I think I rated 4.25 or 4.5. So yeah. Yeah, next I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and this one was highly disappointing to me. I rated it a 2.75. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think the last like half pretty much, I was like, it's going to take me days and days and days to bring myself to read this book. So I happened to go shopping, and it was on Spotify, so I listened and finished it on the audiobook on like 1.7 speed while I was shopping. So I was like out for like 3 hours total, I think, and I finished it literally on the way back on the bus. Because I wasn't going to finish it otherwise. And to be honest, I think I would have DNF'd if I hadn't already stuck my pictures in. I think I was a bit premature about that. I think it's just I was bored. I didn't connect with the characters at all. I didn't feel that the romance was anything to write home about. I was just bored. It was just a bit blah, nothing new. The whole premise, also, I hate that there's a name, that they changed the name. It was going to be called the Bluebell Bookstore. That was a gorgeous name. How they got away with that in the book is just saying, oh, the owner likes to change the name of the store every few years. Like, I don't care. That's just stupid. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore is too much of a wordy title. If you look at the cover, that looks like fall. There's fall bunting. There's a tree that's literally turned orange because it's like fall. Cinnamon buns, you only eat in fall. Like, the leaves falling off the trees. It's a fall cover. It's set in summer. The whole point is that it's her birthday at the end of summer, and she's turning 30, and she thinks she hasn't lived, so she needs to do things. So it's a summer romance and it's in a fall cover. So that was really disappointing. And yeah, it was just boring. Like the things they did, it was like go to the beach and eat some blueberries and go fishing or something. I was like, this isn't living. This is all really boring stuff. Like it just I was just bored. I just didn't connect with the characters. The romance was whatever. The spice I don't think was even very memorable. It was okay. I think people were like, oh, it's so spicy. Like it wasn't even Elsie Silver level of spice. And I say it wasn't even, like she has really good spice. But yeah, I mean the pumpkin spice cafe I think only rated, what did I rate that one actually? Oh well, I rated the pumpkin spice cafe 4 stars last year. I thought it was really cute. This has made me not want to finish the series. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm probably not going to go forward with the Dream Harbour series because the next one's called The Christmas Tree Farm. That is such a boring title. It's not the something Christmas Tree Farm. It's just The Christmas Tree Farm. And like then there's like the Strawberry Patch Pumpkin House. Why is that so wordy? I'm just not bothered. I'm not bothered. It was disappointing. If you're gonna market a book as being the fall book, don't have it set in summer because it's just no. Next, I read Welcome to the Hyungnam-dong Bookshop. This one is by Hwang Borum and translated by Shanna Tan. This one is, I rated it 4.25. Really enjoyed this book. It was so cozy. It felt like a bit of a hug. This one is following Youngju, who has divorced from her partner and decided to buy a bookstore and is trying to live life more for her. And it's following a few characters. So you've got Youngju who owns the bookstore. Then you've got Minjun who is her like barista. Then you've got Jimmy who is like the coffee supplier. So you're following like a few people, um mainly Youngju and Minjun really. So this book talks about quite a lot about happiness, contentment, life as we know it. Sort of, especially in Korea, the societal pressure about employment is really high, and usually you're working god ungodly hours, and that's the norm to work a lot. And it's sort of challenges that. There's a book club discussion at one point about having more of a work-life balance and doing a job that's fun and not working 6 days a week, 10-hour days plus, and about living life to live it, not working to live, which is realistically most of the world works to live, and you miss out on life a lot by doing that. Obviously in this economy we need like full-time work and a good wage, and minimum wage is not enough to enjoy life for most people. I know it is for me. And so it tackles a lot of that. It talks a lot about happiness and finding life that you enjoy, and it was just really good, really cozy, really comforting. Yeah, so I really do highly recommend this book. And the last book I read for that video, but also for the month, was Love Story by Lindsay Kelk. This one I rated a 3.5 stars, and I gave it a 1.5 chili pepper rating because it's like barely there spice right at the end. This one, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was really easy to binge. I didn't like any of the characters aside from the main character, her brother, and her friend. And the MMC I liked until the very end. He was just a bit of an idiot, to be honest. It has the third act breakup was stupid once you hear the full story. If they had had one tiny conversation, if he just opened his mouth and said words, it would have been fine. And instead, the reconciliation happened in a way that I absolutely hate and makes me feel very cringed out. So that's why it dropped this. It probably would have been like a 4 or 4.25 if it wasn't for the ending, to be completely honest. I talk way more about my thoughts. I took this book very seriously at first. So watch that blog if you want to see what my thoughts were more in depth. But I hated the parents because they were just entitled literary assholes. But yeah, that's what I read in September. You know, I like my stats. Yeah, I read total pages was 3,820. I had 1 2-star, 1 3-star, 6 4-stars, and 2 5-stars. That is really good. I would say, obviously, Cinnamon Bun Bookstore aside, I had such a good month. Like this video, oh, like I could not ask for a better video, to be honest, to be completely honest with you. I read 1 fantasy, 6 romance, 2 fiction, and 1 mythology. I think Song of Achilles counts as mythology. I wasn't sure. Anyway, and all of the books I read were paperbacks. Obviously, Cinnamon Bun Bookstore I read as audio, well, listened to as audio. But I have the physical paperback and I read half of it in paperback. So I'm gonna do a quick TBR. I'm not doing a TBR jar picks my TBR video for October because I have books specifically that I want to read for October that to me are going to be October only books, ideally. So I'm going to do a quick TBR for October now. We will see if I read them all. Hopefully I will. But yeah, I'm not letting the jar pick for this month because I have so many books I want to read in autumn, but some of them are specifically October ones and you will see why. Okay, so to start off with, I really want to read Apprentice to the Villain. Like I said, I would have read this month if I wasn't giving myself a tiny break. I'm so excited to read this book. You have no idea. I have 2 books that, to me, November will be too late because it'll be too wintry autumn rather than like fun orange autumn. So I want to read You Again by Kate Goldbeck, which I got last year, was meant to read last autumn. It didn't get around to it. I think this is meant to be a bit like When Harry Met Sally. Yeah, that's meant to be like a rom-com. I think she's a comedian, he's a chef. And it's very When Harry Met Sally-esque in that they become like friends first. And I love that movie. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, the book cover makes me think it's autumnal. And that's purely what I'm going off of. And then the other one I want to read is Business Casual by B.K. Borison. This is the last book in the Love Like Farms series, and each one follows a different season. This one is autumn, I believe, so this one will be the finale. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because Charlie's been in this since the beginning. I think Charlie is Stella from the first book's brother. I think. I could be wrong. And then Nova is one of Beckett's sisters. So there's been like hints to this in the last book. I'm really looking forward to this. I love this series. So yeah, again, I just think November's going to be a bit too late for it. And then I have a few witchy ones. So I have the next 2 in whatever this series is called. We've got A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch and A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. I read A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon last October. So I think these 2 will be a good addition for this year. They will just be really fun. We also have Hex and the City. I do have Hex Appeal here as well in my to behold pile, which we might get to. I've also got Kindling by Bonnie Woods, which kind of falls under the romances in like set in autumn. It might to be hold pile, so maybe I'll get around to there. You never know. But Hex and the City I've had since last year at some point. So hopefully, I think I had it since after October. I think I got it maybe November or December. So again, just a fun little witchy rom-com. I'll take this one off the bottom because I also have regular witchy. That's not like witchy rom-com kind of fun for Halloween. I've got Wayward by Amelia Hart. This one follows witches over 3 different like timelines. Got 2019, 1942, and 1619. So this I think will be very cozy for autumn. And then we have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This one is about Dracula and his first wife. So I think this will be fun for around Halloween. And finally, we've got Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. This one has so many paranormal creatures in. There is there's the Godson of Death. There is a medium. There is a vampire, a poltergeist, a demon personal trainer. You've got so many different supernatural creatures in this book. I just think it'll be really fun for October. And then also the 3rd book in like the X Hex series is coming out. So I really want to read that because I loved the X Hex and the Kiss Case last year. They, to me, are just perfect, cozy autumn, specifically October reads. I love them, so I cannot wait for the third one. So yeah, that's my TBR for October. Okay, so that is everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already. Let me know what you read this month and what you plan to read for October. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!